But can I just press you on the spiritual principle of forgiveness? Forgiveness is not just the unshackling of sin, it is the unshackling of shame. Watch this. It is the release of regret. It is saying that there's something that happened, whether you personally participated in it or not. Maybe you're facing a circumstance that you didn't personally participate in, and you're just having to deal with something that just happened. Maybe life just happened. Some of us, 2020 has just happened. But forgiveness is not just about forgiving a sin. It's also about releasing the shame and the regret that comes along with missing out on something that you thought that you would be able to have in life. It is, watch this, the balancing of yesterday's ledger. There's some yesterdays that some of us need to settle. And it might not be because you personally did something wrong. It might be that you need this principle of forgiveness because there's some debt on yesterday's ledger that you need God to balance out. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, the stuff that you missed out on, the things that were taken away from you, something that you didn't ask for, something that you might not even deserve. In David's case, some of it was his own decision making, but some of us, it wasn't my decision. Something happened that wasn't my decision. You know what God does? God comes along and not only unshackles you from sin, he unshackles you from shame, he balances yesterday's ledger, and he gives you the faith and the courage to move on. For many of us, what we've got to learn how to do is to take 2020 and place it at the altar. Because there's some stuff that you've got to allow God to handle. Your shoulders, watch this, are not broad enough to handle the baggage you've been carrying. You want to know why God asks us to worship him? It's not because God is some egomaniac in the sky sitting in the chair and saying, love me, adore me, pay attention to me. You know why God says worship him and him only? Because God is the only one who is capable of handling the weight of all the pressure you've been under. Which is why when you give it to somebody else other than God, you're always disappointed in their response because they're not designed to handle that weight any more than you are. God says, worship me because I have shoulders big enough to take all your hurts, all your fears, all your shame, all your guilt, all your sin. I'm the only one who can shoulder that burden. And he says, if you want to live a life like David, give it all to God. Yeah, David's a man after God's own heart, not because he was perfect, but because he knew that no matter what weight I'm faced with, if I just give it to God, God has a way of transforming my mess into a message for the world and transforming my test into a testimony. God can take everything that you're struggling with. Okay, Paul said it like this, all things work together for the good of those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. That means there's nothing that you have been through that God can't take, that he can't mix it around and make sure that even though it didn't feel good, it can be for your good. David was a man who knew if I'm going to be devoted to God, if I'm going to be a man after God's own heart, that I've got to learn how to give it up to God. Can I just say this? When the past fails to pay up, forgiveness will settle your yesterdays. Number one, David, he remained fully devoted to forgiveness. Can I just say this? God's forgiveness is both available and reliable. There is nothing that you can't take to God that God cannot handle. David.